Welcome to The Secret Witch Show, the podcast providing a safe and alchemical altar space of conversations which help powerful women escape a half-hearted, spiritless society and rediscover the freedom of living a wildly magical life. Every other week, we explore how to cast aside the wounds of shame, guilt, and fear connected with fully being yourself, so you can grant yourself permission to stop hiding, ground soulfully back into your body, illuminate your whole soul desires, tend your soul, rediscover and reclaim your powerful gifts, express your magic, and manifest your wildest alchemy. There's no better place to become who your heart longs to be. This is where we will guide you into liberation. I'm your host, Nicole Barton, and I'm so excited to dive in. Welcome, magical ones. I am back from the most magical trip to Bali to get married, and oh my goodness, has so much changed. I am burning away all that needs to be burned away and rekindling my passion for just being a fully expressed witch. How are you? I am so excited because we're just about to enter our lunar group journey with magical women to heal themselves and reclaim their magic. But also, I'm just very much at the moment in that spaciousness. I've taken the radical choice to just continue the spaciousness of feeling into what is it I want to create next. My inner creatrix is free to express. I've been very much feeling called to just be in the art of healing rather than like bringing formula to everything. I've done a lot of that for a little while, and it feels so juicy to be creating spaciousness around that and allowing what wants to be birthed to birth in its own time. So at the moment, there's nothing for you particularly to join group-wise other than being in our Secret Witch Sisterhood on Facebook. So if you're not already in that, it's a free group that we have, and it's a gorgeous community of magical souls. So you're very welcome to join us there. Search Secret Witch on Facebook. The only thing I have to offer, I say the only thing, like it's super exciting right now, is some exciting new one-to-one opportunities that are going to be more accessible than they have been before. I've been realizing that a lot of the work we do has been built from patriarchal structures, and I'm dismantling those. So if you have been feeling the call, the deep, stirring, passionate call to work with me, but you felt like it may be out of reach, then I invite you to email me as soon as possible at info@nicolebarton.co.uk. That aside, of course, there's hundreds, we're almost at 100. That is very exciting. There's almost 100 episodes. We're on 90 something. I should know that really, shouldn't I? What are we on? 96. And yeah, there's so many of those to dive into. There's absolute juicy richness in every single episode. So knock yourself out with those as well. But on the Secret Witch Show today, I am exploring the importance of self-healing, particularly using our Inner Apothecary, explaining exactly what that is and how we can work with anything as a remedy, symbolically, for deep healing self-illumination work. I explore the role of the witch and the aspects of her that are the healer and the creatrix, and the importance of those in accessing our apothecary for reclaiming the lost parts of ourselves, encouraging listeners to know your power to heal yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and soul. In this episode, I teach about the art and science of magical healing and its universal laws, and how important it is to learn to work with these to heal ourselves so that we can become healing activators for others. I empower you to be able to play with the archetypal remedies for your own healing so that one day you can become a guide to others on their healing journey. Let's dive in. Welcome, Secret Witches. I am so excited to be back and recording this episode. I have not recorded an episode probably now for about 2, maybe 3 months, because I pre-curated all of our episodes before I went away, and I've been seeing so much about the way that I was working since I got back. But first of all, welcome to the episode. I am super excited for this one because it's all about magical healing, becoming a healer, owning our inner Apothecary. So I'm going to be talking more about how to heal ourselves, which is, of course, like my favorite topic and my most kind of true expression. Like, I'm super passionate about healing, and have quite some radical views on healing as well, which I've realised recently I maybe shy away from expressing. So I'm going to be talking way more truthfully, being way more fully expressed, way more passionate, so that you can really see the full me. Because my husband, my new husband, oh, it's weird to say that, my new husband, because I just got married in Bali, was saying to me, and I wrote a post about this recently, how a lot of my pre-curated content often lacks the passion and the fire that I have within my belly as a not so secret witch. Although I suppose that is a way that the secret witch shows up within the way that I'm creating. So I've been in this deep portal of magic, and I'm not going to lie, getting married and being out in Bali really was this kind of time of initiation. We often think of like, oh, it's so exciting, we're getting married, and yet also we forget that there is this kind of initiation that comes with all things new. So I am now officially Nicole Talent Hughes, which I am also super excited with. And it's got nothing to do with the episode, but I'm going to tell you anyway. But essentially, like Nicole Talent Hughes came to me, I really was feeling like I've never had that kind of same shared family name, because my father left when I was 4. And I've been stuck with his name ever since, because he wouldn't allow me to change it to be with my family name, with my stepdad and my mum. And so I've had this like whole life of really feeling on the edge of a family, which I think most witches can kind of relate to. And I've done a lot of healing work around that. And as I was feeling into it, I was feeling into like identity creation, which is something that's a big part of our work in the Secret Witch Path. And when I was feeling into like, who am I becoming? It's like, okay, we want to create our own family name. And there's a lot of healing around that, but essentially, like I'm living into this new identity, and this new identity that I've created for myself and for our family. And a big part of that was like really feeling into, there was so much magic in the creation of that. Talent Hughes actually means gifted soul, like talented soul. I didn't realize Hughes meant soul. So my new name literally means gifted soul. And I was like, that is just so perfect for a witch. So I know that's got nothing to do with what I'm here to talk about today. I thought you'd like it. So I'm just gonna leave that one there. And so what I'm trying to say is that I've been in this kind of portal of magic with funnily enough, Archetypal Remedy Luna. Now, I can't remember when this episode goes out, so it's probably already passed by the time this goes live. But as I'm recording, I am very much in the process of just beginning to teach Luna, Archetypal Luna, guiding women into working with her as a remedy. Now, of course, we're here to talk about how to heal ourselves, their inner apothecary, and really that she's one of the remedies in that apothecary. And so Luna is very much about, she's the moon, she's very much around feminine mystery, magic, being able to reclaim our magic. And really she's been, I never get away from these initiations that the remedies offer us into. So don't put me on a pedestal. I am also journeying with you. I might be, in different depths of the same remedy, but I'll always be being initiated. And she's really kind of taken me into this portal of magic. And part of her medicine, if you like, is the kind of creatrix. And so she's been calling me to honor changes in kind of how I work, especially around how I create. So it's become very apparent that creating in a kind of pre-prepared or forced way is no longer aligned for me. So I'm quite literally burning the script, which witches love to do. Let's be honest, like we love to burn things down. So I'm very much in a burning down phase, not burning everything down. I still love what I've created, but I'm also seeing how I've tried to like put the archetypal apothecary even and the secret witch into this little box so that it's easily understandable. And whilst that's to a degree helpful so people can understand, there's also like a big piece of reclamation for me around learning that healing is an art. And I knew that, and I've known that for a long, long time, but like I'm being reminded by Luna, like this is an art. We're here to express our remedy into the world with creativity, not just this kind of like, okay, now we're going to talk about this theme, or we're going to talk about this. And it was just becoming a little bit too like almost like within that patriarchal system of what things should look like as a business. So I'm being called to burn the script. And that said, I'm not burning everything down. Like, we're still going to talk about how to heal ourselves by Inner Apothecary so that we can pass that wisdom on as healers, because that's something that's very alive for me. Is literally my medicine. So I am just going to express what is my medicine, and that's going to do its job. So that feels like art to me. So if you're listening to this, first and foremost, like, we're just going to talk about who this is for, because it's helpful to just kind of ground in and be like, okay, is this episode actually for me? So I'm going to guess, given you're here, that you're a secret witch, or that you resonate with the term secret witch, even if that brings up a lot of fear. Fear is natural when we talk about the witch archetype, and I'm going to explain why the witch archetype is so important, because the witch herself is, in essence, part of our archetypal apothecary. It's like she's in this little bottle on our shelf, like suppressed and hidden away, and we need to go in and take that bottle off the shelf in our inner apothecary, pop the lid off, and just to let that energy come out and come into our bodies. Like, that's kind of how I visualize the archetypal apothecary, the inner apothecary that we have. It's like there's these lost aspects, these aspects of ourselves. Oh, this has just come to me as I've been speaking. It's like lost parts of ourselves that have been shut down in fear and shame and guilt as a little girl. And they've been put in this bottle and shoved in our little inner apothecary. And like cures like, and we'll talk more about that, but in essence, these shut down and shamed parts, when we hold a torch and go, okay, where's that bottle again? Like, when we're looking in our apothecary and we're like, oh, there's the bottle, there's the witch. We take her off the shelf, we open the can of worms, if you like, take the lid off, let her energy infuse us. And we're able to start to see the patterns around the witch, where we have shamed, feared, guilted this natural part of us that was always there. We were born witches. And we can start to work with that as an archetypal remedies, a lens for self-discovery and self-illumination, to reclaim and liberate these parts of ourselves that we've shamed and shut down, who we are at our core. So that's how, in a nutshell, if you wanted me to answer, like, that's how to heal ourselves, their inner apothecary. I wasn't going to go directly there, but we've done it now. So let's go back to, if you're a secret witch, that essentially is, you will know you're a secret witch because you're secretly drawn to all the witchy things. You especially have a sense that you're here to be a healer, even though that may be terrifying. It might be that you're like, oh, maybe I'm here for a little bit more meaning and magic, but you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm a healer. Like, that could be down the line. If you're listening to this, it's potentially likely that is the case, although it might be so suppressed, like your little healer might be somewhere in the back of the apothecary. Or you might be like, I am definitely here to be a healer. I know I am, and I'm here listening to this because I am a secret witch and I am going to live my destiny. So that's who the secret witch could be. It's likely you're also fed up with a mundane, boring life. Ugh, like, I resonate. And you're also likely called to manifest a more magical life. I've been hearing a lot about manifesting magic from spirit at the moment. Like, this is a big topic, especially with Luna. It's like, yep, we are here to manifest magic. So you're probably called to that. And also there may be this sense of like, there's more healing to do first before you become this healer. More self-healing, because there's wounds that are showing up that's stopping you from fully embracing your gifts. Maybe there's a lot of fear. It may be showing up as well as like you giving up because you don't think being a healer is possible. This is like one of the things I see for most women who are here to be healers, is this sense of fear. Like, it takes deep courage, deep passion, like deep being able to open our hearts and dream to be able to keep walking the path of becoming a healer. And the thing that I see all the time with women is that magical women particularly, because we're so sensitive and the world is so harsh when we're not equipped with our inner apothecary, is that we often give up on our destiny and our dreams because of wounding, because of all these parts of ourselves that have been placed in this inner apothecary, and those parts that say, I can't do this, I'm going to fail, people are going to judge me, I'm not safe. And I'm not safe in magic particularly. Like, I can't earn money from it. I can't do this. Blah, 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 blah. All these reasons why we don't embrace our gifts. Like, I can't create time to focus on this because people will think I'm strange, or, you know, I'll be judged as selfish. Like, there's all these reasons why we don't embrace our gifts. And so often we'll think that that means it's a sign to give up. What it really means is that we're being called to heal ourselves with our inner apothecary. And so we kind of then have to kind of go on with healing. And also the other thing that can show up here is, like, we can start to heal ourselves and feel like an imposter. Like, oh, we're not healed yet. I'm not able to be a healer because I'm not healed. So I'm here to dispel all of these myths. Like, none of this means you're not here to be a healer and live your destiny. None of this means that your destiny isn't to be a healer. Like, and also we don't have to be fully healed to help others. We just have to be devoted to healing ourselves and to have had some degree of healing of our core wound. And I'll talk a little bit more to our core wound probably at some point, but ultimately we have to be devoted to healing ourselves and being in the deep work of healing ourselves. And when I say healing ourselves, I'm going to be very specific here, because part of my point of view and the uniqueness of this work and the path that I offer is that I am not talking about being in the healing by going out and asking others to heal us. So going to a Reiki healer, going to an aromatherapist, going to, you know, all these different things. Like, yes, there's a place for that. I often describe those things as like, it's like the initiation, but then we're there to do the integration work, which is what I call the deep work, the self-illumination, which is the real healing. And so the unique piece about this work is that I believe we can all heal ourselves and that we need to stop outsourcing. So this is why this episode is all about how to heal ourselves, that own inner apothecary, so that we can pass that wisdom on as healers. But first of all, let's stick with the how to heal ourselves and the why of healing ourselves as well. So ultimately, I'm here, like, my mission on earth, it feels, is to stop women, especially magical women, outsourcing their healing to others. Like, if you are listening to this episode, like, and you're not wanting to do the deep work of self-healing or take responsibility for your own power to heal, there's probably a good time to stop listening, because that's what I'm here for. Like, it's my mission on earth to help everyone know that they can heal themselves, particularly magical women who are here to go on and help others see that as well. So it's like I'm starting this movement, and I want to see 100 healers over the next year be able to start to bring this into the world, this, like, to know it for themselves and to take that into the world and help others heal themselves as well. And that's really what I mean by healing with our inner apothecary, because it's not just magical women who have their own inner apothecary. Like, everyone has their own inner apothecary. It's just that there'll be different remedy patterns for non-magical women. There's like almost like a soul map that magical women will have, and everybody has their own soul map. But, like, there's a specific set of remedies that I've seen specific to magical women, and that's generally what I help people with. I mean, they're helpful to most sensitive women in general, but ultimately every single person on earth has their own soul map of remedies, their own inner apothecary of remedies. But ultimately, my point of view is that we can heal ourselves, and that sounds bold in some level. I mean, we've heard it kind of talked about in, you know, Louise Hay said, you know, you can heal your life. Like, there's lots of teachers in this world who talk about that. But I'm literally talking to, like, we can literally heal anything ourselves, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, whatever it is, we can heal ourselves. And in fact, to be good healers, and I use that term loosely because good feels like a judgment, but, like, to be a fully expressed healer that's, like, really making a difference in the world, we have to know how to be in that process. And that's why for over a decade, I mean, well over a decade, I have studied the art and science of real magical healing and the universal laws and principles of magical healing. If you haven't listened to the episode, there's a whole episode on the art and science and the universal laws of healing. But I've been studying this for well over a decade. And actually, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, actually, it's more like a lifetime, because I was initiated very young, like at the age of 10, when I suffered with chronic fatigue, I was literally initiated into all the magic, into being like a little witch. I took literally a year off school, and my mum took me around to all the witchy healers and tried everything. So I literally had initiation, like a whole school year of essentially going to witch school instead of normal school. And I'm like so grateful and appreciative for that, because for such a long time I was like, oh, poor me, like I missed school. And it's like, no, of course I missed school. I was a little witch. I was meant to miss school and be embodied in all that magic. And like, look at what I'm doing now. This is my career. This is my life's work. So it makes perfect sense. And I was like, yes, celebrate that. Which is again quite radical, but essentially I've been embodying my teachings since the age of 10, and maybe even more. But over the years, I've also guided many women and trialed things myself. Like I've helped hundreds of women heal, and I discovered that we all have this inner apothecary. And so out of this work that I was doing, like my life's work with other women, with myself, you know, as I was kind of in my own deep work, I birthed this modality for secret witches, which helps women to work with their own inner apothecary to heal themselves, and especially their inner secret witch, so that they can become healers. And I'm not going to go too much into detail because I've probably talked about it before. There are other episodes, like there's a whole episode on how to work with Archetypal Apothecary and Archetypal Remedies. But what I will say is that modality is grounded in 3 ancient wisdom bodies that are my lineage. Archetypal psychology, so we talk about archetypes, remedies as archetypes particularly, which is where the second ancient wisdom body comes in, which is homeopathy. Homeopathy being an energy medicine. And then energy healing is the third one. So this body of work that is really my great work, the work that I've been like really living into over the last decade, it stands on ancient legs. Like there's an art and science to it, a magical healing art and science. And for me, of the work, it's very much like this foundational principle is that everything is an archetypal remedy. Everything in life is a mirror for our self-illumination that can return us to wholeness. And that also my belief is that any disease, any like manifestation in the body of ill health or the mind is a manifestation of separation from this wholeness. It's where we've shut something down in fear or shame or guilt as a little girl, put it in that bottle, and then we've manifested something that's like created from that separation. And so it's really important that we take that bottle off the shelf, open it up, look at it, get honest with it, and allow the energy and the gold of the remedy, because there's a shadow and a gold. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but like there's a shadow and a gold, and allow ourselves to be in that self-illumination work about where we were separated from wholeness, or the illusion of being separated from wholeness, because we're always whole, and we can reclaim these aspects of ourselves that have been lost, the lost parts of our souls. And that might sound a bit lofty, so just bear with me. It is really grounded in science and art of healing. And I'm not going to go too much more into that for now. I've done that in other episodes, as I say, but it is helpful to know that as a foundation. So ultimately, essentially we can heal ourselves is the message, and we can heal ourselves using what I call archetypal remedies as mirrors for parts of ourselves, parts of our souls that we have lost. And that's why I work with the secret witch archetype. Because what I've seen over the years is that we need the initiation into the witch to be able to really learn how to harness our inner apothecary in the first place. Because the witch is a symbol of healing. The witch is a symbol of like knowing how to heal. She's a wise woman. She knows in her intuition how to heal herself, how to heal others. And so often the first thing that happens when we talk about how to heal ourselves through inner apothecary is we need to embody the witch. Because the witch has so much conditioning, so many layers from culture, from the masculine, from like all of this stuff. And we need to decondition all of those ideas as of the witch is bad, of the witch is like somebody who isn't scientific, as the witch, you know, all of these things that these ideas that we've held about the witch. And we need to take her remedy off the shelf first and open up the bottle and go, okay, what's the witch's gold? Because we know her shadow. Like, she's seen as ugly, bad, scary. Like, is she those things? And so what if she is? Like, what's her magic? And there's so much magic. In particular, she knows how to heal. She's a wise woman. She knows how to work with the rhythms and cycles of life. She knows how to work with nature as a remedy. She knows how to heal herself with the Inner Apothecary. And so there's deconditioning to do. Now, the way you might also hear me talk about the witch in the Archetypal Apothecary path, or the Secret Witch path, is as archetypal phosphorus. Archetypal phosphorus is essentially like what's on the end of a match. So you strike her, she goes into flames. I said the witch loves to burn things down. The witch is sensitive. We're sensitive, we're open to other worlds. The archetypal phosphorus as a little girl tends to have big eyes. Like, she's bright, she's curious, she's magical, she's open because she's sensitive. But in that openness throughout life, in a world where the witch doesn't really fit like into the mundane, like the bright lights and the noise in the supermarkets and all of these things, like, we don't fit into that world. Like, we weren't born here to fit ourselves into that mundane box. And so what will happen is, as she lives in this conditioned life, she will get burned out. Like, that fire will get extinguished. And so this fire of hers, this passion for life, will get burned down, dulled out. She'll become ash. Often archetypal phosphorus will literally burn down. Like, she'll burn herself out and become exhausted. And she's really what I would call the archetypal wounded healer. So she's essentially the witch. And what I've seen recently is there's different aspects of the witch as well. So the healer, we often recognize, like, oh, the witch is a symbol of being a healer. But there are different aspects of the witch's personality. So other aspects include the creatrix. And what I've seen about the creatrix is really the aspect of ourselves that knows how to manifest life, like knows how to create a more magical life. Like, she knows her power. She's like, okay, I can do this. Like, I've seen that the creatrix needs to often come first in order to know how to work with our apothecary. Because one of the things that we can hit up against, particularly as we start to embrace our healer, is this idea of like, well, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the space to embrace my gifts, to be in magic. Like, it's like there's barriers there to even enter this portal of the Inner Apothecary. So often the creatrix will need to come first to help us know that, okay, actually, we can carve time out to be with our magic. We can say no to some of these things that we don't want to create. Like, we can put things out of our calendar that we've said yes to when we really mean no. And we can carve out that space for our magic. We can carve out that time to go and be with the Inner Apothecary. I'll talk more about that. Essentially, the creatrix knows how to create space for her magic. And so if you're struggling, I might do an episode on that at some point, because that feels really juicy and really needed. It's almost like Secret Witch 101. But ultimately, there's like a real importance in learning to heal ourselves with our own inner apothecary. So we're here in this episode as well to talk about how to pass on our wisdom as healers to others. And you might think, well, you've just said that we can't heal others, but we can be healing remedies for others. Like, we can be activating for other people to go into self-healing. So that's really how I see healing works. The importance of healing ourselves first is vital. So we need to learn how to heal and work with our inner apothecary so that we can pass on to other people the wisdom. Because we are a remedy for others. Now, we can be a remedy from shadow, or we can be a remedy from gold. And essentially what that means is, like, we're a remedy for others, is that there's a universal principle or universal law that underpins the entire body of my work, and is called symbolically. You might have heard me talking about this in the past. But essentially what it means is that like cures like. So on a practical level, like, what causes symptoms in us will also cure them. And this is the opposite to the mainstream world. Like, it's completely the opposite. So it might seem a little bit weird to work that way and think that way, but just start to stay open to that principle. But for example, if we have a cold and our eyes are streaming, the easiest example is like onion will be a remedy for that because it makes our eyes stream. Like cures like. Likewise, we have fear of the witch. She's a remedy for the fear of the witch. And so that's one of the principles of healing. Like, that's how we heal. Now, what that means is that people are remedies. And if we base the assumption that people are remedies, it means that like cures like. People are remedies for other people. Therefore, those who are similar to us and who have similar journeys to us will also be cured by us. And not cured by us as in we're going to do some healing on them. Cured by us in that our story will activate them. Our story will activate them, and our journey of like, okay, I was here and I healed that by doing this. Like, that will become healing medicine for someone else who's going through the same thing. So the fact that we need to have healed the thing that we are a remedy for means that we have to harness our inner apothecary first. That is so vital because it's a piece of the puzzle for us to be a remedy for others. Much in the same way that I am archetypal phosphorus, who often fears rejection and is a secret witch. Like, as I've healed that, that's become a remedy for those who listen to our top 10% podcast. I mean, that's a lot of secret witches. When I think about it, like, top 10% podcast, there's a lot of secret witches. And I love you all. And yeah, so I am medicine for those like me who have been, like, I was a secret witch. I've healed my secret witch to fully express it by showing up on a podcast that is listened to by 10% of the world. And that is medicine for all the secret witches who want to be healers and want to be fully expressed and want to share their gifts, but feel the fear. So we have to learn to harness our inner apothecary first. That's the vital importance of it. So, how to heal ourselves with our inner apothecary? On the simplest level, we each have a unique soul map of remedies that our soul came here to live out. And we can envisage that as like the archetypal apothecary within, like with our little bottles, and each of them is a different remedy. Now, I go into very great detail with women who have a soul reading with me, for example, to provide a map for your healing journey. It basically tells you all the remedies you need to work with to heal and become healers. And there are 4 layers of remedies, which again, I'm not going to go into, but there's essentially the surface layer wounds. These are the wounds that have kind of built up through life, the personal wounds. We have our constitutional remedy, our soul remedy, which is really the gift that we've come here to work with. It's our core wound and our core gift. And the ancestral remedies that we need to heal ourselves with, which kind of comes last. I'm not going to say any more than that. There's a reason. We also tend to want to jump to the ancestral first, like, let's heal ourselves before we start healing our entire lineage. But really, anything can be an archetypal remedy. So I've got this map, and like, that's great. Like, I map that out if that's what you want to choose. And I want to make this path accessible. So let's start just beginning to play with journeying. Like, anything can be an archetypal remedy. So I'm going to invite you into starting to notice that. Like, there are, in homeopathy, which is one of the lineages, like, there's over 3,500, probably actually 5,000 remedies. Like, there are thousands of remedies. And just as an example, we can work with anything from nature as a remedy. It doesn't even have to be from nature, like, it's anything, literally. So for example, the moon, who represents our feminine cycles and rhythms. I've just been guiding women through a journey with Luna, and she helps us heal our disconnection from our feminine cycles and rhythms, which is so common for sensitive women living in a mundane world. Like, we just don't have that connection the same way that our ancestresses would have. The bee represents how busily we buzz around in life to heal our fast-pacedness. The rose is a symbol for how tight in a bud we keep ourselves, and she helps us bloom and open. The she-wolf She was a symbol of our repressed wild, and she helps us reclaim our truth. Gold is a symbol of our power and helps us to reclaim that. Phosphorus, who's fire and a symbol for our fiery nature and sensitivity as healers. Like, these remedies are often right under our noses and we don't see them because the mundane takes over, because the creatrix hasn't created space to see them. So part of the journey, first and foremost, is carving out time and space to tune in. And I know that's going to be challenging for a secret witch. So notice, like, what is it that stops me from tuning in? Like, just that noticing is powerful. What stops us allowing ourselves to begin to distill remedies available to us, and to allow ourselves to look at anything that could be a remedy for ourselves and think, this remedy represents XYZ in shadow and its gold is XYZ. Because each remedy has like a shadow expression and a gold expression. Basically a wound and a gift. And when we can begin to like resonate with the shadow and gold of something, it has like an activation or a lesson for us. And so we can start really kind of beginning to look at things symbolically for self-illumination. And that is working with our inner apothecary. It's beginning to open to that. And working with our inner apothecary is really about learning to use symbols for self-illumination. That's where the real healing is. That's the deep work. We have to look honestly and lovingly. So there's some playing with that on a practical level, which I can speak to. The other thing I want to share before I do is like each remedy has what I call like a spirit. Well, it is a spirit. And so we can harness each remedy by calling in the spirit of the remedy to work with, to guide us in the same way that we would with spirit guides or, ancestors or whoever. Like, we can call in the spirit of the rose, the spirit of the bee, the spirit of the moon to guide us in to healing ourselves. And that sounds a little bit woo, maybe, but I will often invite women when I'm guiding them to, and often in my group journeys, to meet their archetypal remedy guide in a journey. Because it kind of personifies this aspect of us and brings her alive. But she is also a very real guide that we can call on. And there's a substance to this work. And so these guides will reveal things to us via symbolism. This really is the deep work. And honestly, it's not for the faint-hearted. Like, it requires that phosphoric fire to be able to go in and do this. And it is challenging to look at these aspects of ourselves, particularly the shadow aspects, and to love ourselves in them. It's also challenging to see how far away we could be from the gold, because nobody wants to be in the shadow. But that's the reason why it's so important, because the more we can love ourselves in that shadow, the more we can heal and reclaim. And that is so vital, the love aspect. Like, if we look lovingly at where we're in shadow, we start to allow that lost part of us to come back, to not feel the guilt, not feel the shame. And that's the deep work. Like, and if we don't, and we just outsource, we will miss the real healing. Like, even if we've had an activation from another healer, that's great. Like, the work is still ours to work archetypally and reclaim whatever has been shown to us throughout that treatment, throughout that healing, and to work with that as information. And we need to embody that for ourselves first so that we can pass that wisdom on. Like, I often talk about medicine women who they just didn't learn how. They didn't go and get a certificate. They didn't go and just have someone else validate their gifts. They're like, yeah, okay, you've passed, go away, get a certificate. She lived into her medicine. She embodied her teachings. So my invitation to you is to like feel into the part of you that's like, oh, I want the certificate, I want some steps, I want to know exactly how. And love that part of you. Like, that's revealing something in itself about your level of trusted magic, which wants love. And that's also very common for secret witches. Like, we are drawn to magic, but we're also like, hell, can I trust this? I don't think so. Because we're trained to be logical. And that wants love. We want to be able to breathe through that, to tend it. That's our inner little girl going, this isn't safe. And we just want to be with that. We want to create space around it and be like, okay, can I maybe dip a toe in? Can I play with this on a practical level? And so on that practical level, just begin. My invitation is just begin to notice like what you're drawn to, like what in nature are you drawn to? Is there something in your outer apothecary that could also be in your inner apothecary? Like if you're used to working with essential oils, for example, think about the character of each essential oil. I often write for a company called Base Formula, who I'm a consultant and aromatherapist for as well, by the way. And I often write about the archetypal personality profiles of essential oils because each of them will have their own character. I think there's an article actually I wrote somewhere on their blog, which is cool to watch. I think I've written about the witch, but I've also talked about the essential oils and their personalities. There's also another book that I know there's a woman who does that. I can't remember the name of her offhand. But like, if you're used to working with oils, like what's in that apothecary that's like symbolic? If you're beginning to notice that the moon is calling you, like what is she calling you to see of yourself? What is she being a mirror for? What aspect of yourself? Like if you are seeing symbols, you're being shown something. It's a doorway into self-illumination. And as I said, I often envisage it in each of us as having like a little apothecary within ourselves, and there's like a remedy in each bottle that's part of our soul map that we've come here in this lifetime to work with, and it's just sitting there with its lid on. I literally see them in my mind as like bottles with little cork lids, and then they've got like the name of the remedy on it. And within that bottle, there's a potent medicine just awaiting us to take it off the shelf and activate it. Just open it up, letting it sink in. Because these remedies are energy medicines. Like they will activate what they need to activate, and our body will start to do the healing. It will start to respond. These energy medicines are literally like activations that will then do their thing. Like they'll work their way through, regardless of whether we are like, okay, cool, I consciously choose this. This is what I'm going in for. Like often people will almost like take remedies and like not realize. Like, have you ever been with a person who just like changes your whole energy? Like that's a great example of people being remedies. And you've got to spend time with that person and like completely everything's just shifted. You're like, oh, interesting. It's because that person is a remedy. They're representing something, they're mirroring something within you that maybe you've shamed or suppressed. And so people are remedies, but this is the same with anything. Like anything can literally change your energy. And it's literally like the inner apothecary is literally like an energetic apothecary in your home, like you would have in your home. So for example, I have like a ton of homeopathic remedies, and homeopathic remedies are worked with as a physical pill. But all that's happening with that pill is it's a sugar ball, and I buy the sugar balls on their own, and I take the essence, which is in a bottle in vodka or some kind of like alcohol, and you pour that onto the pill to dose it. Now, instead of working with pills, I work energetically. Like, it's an energy medicine. And so that's really all we're doing. Instead of taking the pills, just speaking about or reflecting upon the remedies can activate them when working intentionally. This is my medicine. Like, when I speak about a remedy, I am opening it up for people to take. And I have noticed like that instantly, like being the way that I serve. That's quite unique to the way that I serve, in that it's my gift. But I have, for example, had been on a Zoom call and I have mentioned a remedy and somebody has started expressing that remedy physically, just like that, unintentionally. So I'm very conscious and intentional to say in each episode that because I'm serving a different remedy in each episode, right? And every time I serve a remedy now, I'm like, disclaimer, this is medicine. Like, something might get stirred up and activated. Like, we want to be conscious and intentional about what we're working with in our apothecary. So as you're playing Like, this is about opening that bottle, taking a remedy out and working with it. And things will shift and change, maybe on a very small level, maybe on a big level. I've seen like lots happen in various different ways, depending on the person's energy, depending on all sorts of things. And so, yes, it is helpful to know how. And I'm also inviting you to play with it, but very consciously. I would say the more time you spend in this podcast, listening to the episodes, or the more time you're in this path, with us joining our group journeys or just simply being in our Secret Witch Sisterhood, you will begin to learn. Like, I am here to help women start that journey of learning how to self-heal, and I guide women into self-healing ritual. We have our regular monthly Manifesting with the Moon rituals, which I always serve remedies in. So I really guide women tenderly into the how of healing themselves. And my vision is to make this as accessible as possible, like bringing this to the world, like this new modality to the world, and helping women learn how to embody their witch and activate their inner apothecary, performing like the Archetypal Apothecary ritual, having a distillation of the remedies. These are all things that I'm working on. And serving in my group journeys, like the how as well, like we start to get used to how this works. But for now, I invite you to just begin intuitively noticing what could be a remedy for you. Maybe what already is being a remedy for you. Where have you been working unconsciously with the remedies, like with people, with things in nature? And go out into nature and notice, like, is there a symbol that keeps calling to you? Perhaps the moon, she's calling to you. Perhaps a particular plant or a particular mineral. Just start to notice, like, my invitation is begin to notice your remedies. And as you're in that inquiry, I'd love to hear, like, what is calling to you. So please do let me know if this is resonating, what's landing for you. Most importantly, though, if you're like, oh, I don't really know where to start with that, like, my invitation is to begin to embrace your witch. Like, where can we first connect to our witch, our creatrix, and see her power to heal? That then we can journey into our apothecary. So some inquiry, if you're not like sure on how to start accessing your apothecary and you want to start working with the witch, is how do you feel about being a witch? Is that something that you feel comfortable embracing? Like, is there resistance? Because resistance is a sign that there's an aspect of the witch that you're scared of, that you're denying. She's a remedy. What is that aspect? Like, illuminate for yourself. Like, what is the fear? Is there a fear coming up around being a witch? Is there a resistance? Can you love that fear? Be in that work of self-illumination. And unless we do that, it's likely we might struggle with working with her inner apothecary for healing. So there's some places to go to begin. What I will say, just going back to how we can pass this on as healers, is that, as I said earlier, we teach what we've embodied. We don't have to be fully healed, but our archetypal journey, our story of healing, is the remedy for others. And there's again a nuance here, in that it's not our tools that is the remedy, that they are helpful to weave into our own unique expression of healing. And that's not to say that what we've studied so far won't be woven in. Like, everything I've studied is woven into my path. But ultimately, it's my essence that is the remedy. You can almost think of yourself as having like a unique vibrational essence, as if you're like a vibrational essence for others, like you're a unique remedy for others. And that as you heal and alchemize these layers of wounding that you've had, it's like an onion, like peeling back the layers, the surface layers, until you get to your core, the more that remedy becomes expressed in the world, the more of a light it shines, the more others can see it. And we have to heal ourselves and our secret witch to be able to heal others for that reason. Like, if we have layers to heal around being a healer, around being a witch, people can't see our remedy, because like cures like, and we would attract those who are similar to us. If people aren't seeing us, we have some layers to heal. And that's why I offer the path that I do. It has been so vital in my own journey. And I do always make that key distinction that I am not healing you. I am simply guiding you into accessing your own self-healing power, your own inner apothecary, teaching you the vital skills to heal yourself with your own wisdom, with working with your own remedies. And that includes physical. So with Luna, for example, I have seen Luna help women heal, say, feminine cycle issues, PMT, like cysts, and like all sorts of things, endometriosis. I know for myself, she's helped me heal endometriosis. And so this is huge. Like, we're not taught that this is available to us because of various reasons, the patriarchy, the systems that are kind of benefiting from the way things work. And this isn't to, just to be clear, this isn't to blame, shame, or say that the medical system's wrong, because it does a lot of good in emergency medicine. Like, I'm not one of those people who's like, okay, just abandon mainstream, because that's like rebelling against it, and that's also coming from wounding. Like, I see that this is a complementary way of working. But ultimately, to see that we can heal ourselves, like, is really huge, because we have the power to heal ourselves and help others heal themselves. And this is world changing in a world where I've been taught to outsource our healing. I am going to leave it there. I am loving you in whatever this is activated for you. I'd love to hear what is activated for you. Please share, either by joining us in the Secret Witch Sisterhood, which is on Facebook, or by sharing in an email. You can email me at info@nicolebarton.co.uk, even though I'm Nicole Talent Hughes now. I'm going to have to do a whole rebrand. But for now, I'm going to love you and leave you. And please do let me know what came alive for you in this episode. And go enjoy investigating, exploring your inner apothecary. That's enough, Secret Witches. That was a juicy episode as ever. Here are my takeaways. Healing is an art and a science grounded in universal laws and principles, and when we take self-responsibility for learning this art and science, we can heal ourselves. Physical manifestations in the body are expressions of lost parts of our souls that are wanting to be reclaimed and calling for our attention. And we can do this by working with archetypal remedies for self-healing. We each have an inner apothecary of archetypal remedies, which is essentially energy remedies that we can work with ourselves for self-illumination and deeper healing. Anything in nature, in the wild, in the world can be a remedy, as long as we work with it symbolically, intentionally, and responsibly. We can tune into our inner remedies through archetypes, symbols, and nature. Examples of archetypal remedies include the rose, the bee, the moon. Each of these things can teach us about lost, suppressed aspects of ourselves. For example, the bee is a symbol of our busyness. We each have a unique soul map of remedies to work with, and doing so helps us to heal and reclaim our gifts so that we can fully express who we are. As we heal ourselves, we also become a remedy for others similar to us, based on the like yours like principle. And this is how we truly become healer witches.